So Senator Cory Booker just gave a 25-hour filibuster speech on the Senate floor, which broke the record for the longest in American history. 25 hours, which is just slightly longer than what it takes for Donald Trump's makeup artist to ensure that he doesn't look like a pale, lifeless carcass of a wannabe dictator whose approval rating is plummeting. Now, Cory Booker, for those who may not know, leans left wing. And when I say leans, I mean he leans over and stabs the left wing in the back any chance he gets. He postures in some ways as a progressive, but we know that it's BS. Even though Senator Booker doesn't take a lot of corporate PAC money, he still takes money from corporate lobbyists who fight against progressive policy initiatives. He's taken almost $1 million from AIPAC. He takes Wall Street money. And it just gets worse the longer that you look into it. So fiscally, he's less left-wing and more of a moderate establishment liberal. But on the social issue side of things, aside from the Israel-Gaza situation, he seems to agree with the left on many cultural issues. Now, I might only agree with Senator Booker on maybe 60% of his politics, but I will admit, his 25-hour long speech on the Senate floor was great. I know what some of my fellow progressives are going to say. They're going to point out all of his flaws. They're going to say, who cares about this performative BS? He takes corrupt money. He's a cuck to Israel. He's a classic establishment liberal who is fighting to protect the status quo. And I would not argue against you if you said that. But hear me out for a moment, please. Would a regular establishment liberal put their body on the line like this for 25 hours straight? For 25 hours, he did not sit down. He did not exit the chambers. He didn't eat or use the bathroom. Now, I'm not going to sit here and break down the entire 25-hour speech for you, but there's other commentators who make great content, and you should go check them out. I'll put some links into the description of some great summaries of his speech. But essentially, what Cory Booker did here was a 25-hour protest to this administration. A thorough breakdown of all of the destructive actions that this administration has taken, which are harming so many people. So if you say that this filibuster was just performative, you're right, because that's the point of protesting. It's all a performance. Now, does it change what this administration is doing? No. But it shines a spotlight on the opposition. That's the important part. It brings attention to the fight against Trump. Now, even though Booker isn't as progressive on policy as I am, him and I share the same goal of fighting to oppose this dangerous administration and this wannabe dictator. And for that, I commend his effort. Here's my main point. We have to be able to compartmentalize the two movements that are going on. One movement is the anti-Trump opposition. The left should be joining hands with moderates and liberals on the opposition side of things. The other is the progressive policies. So popular commentators on the left are pointing out that two things are vital right now. First, that we strongly oppose the disastrous agenda of the fascist Christian nationalist administration. The second vital action that we must take is to provide a narrative that is centered around our policies. So do both at the same time. Now, the narrative side of things is the problem is not trans people. The problem is not the immigrants. The problem is the billionaires. The reason your life sucks is because large corporations, the ultra wealthy, they have rigged systems in their favor. It's the wealth and income inequality. It's all these things. The problem is the status quo. These are the things that cause a majority of our problems. That's why we need universal healthcare. That's why we need universal basic income. We need to get corporate and corrupt money out of politics. We need ranked choice voting. We need guaranteed paid sick time and time off for maternal and paternal leave. We need all of these things and much more. Other countries have implemented these policies, and it's not surprising why countries like Finland, Denmark, Italy, Sweden, and others have a higher quality of life and are happier than us here in the United States, according to every major study. This is the narrative that we need to amplify. So there's two movements going on. One is the opposition to this administration, and the second is cultivating a narrative centered around progressive policies. This is where the compartmentalization comes in. So although Democrats like Cory Booker may not join us in amplifying left-wing policies, we should still team up with them on the other side of the coin, that is opposition to this administration. We should be able to criticize any politician when they do something that's bad, and we should be able to praise any politician if they do a good thing. So I'm praising Cory Booker here for putting his body on the line as a form of opposition and protest to this administration. And also, shame on Cory Booker for taking AIPAC money and for doing the bidding of Wall Street and of anti-progressive lobbyists. Both things are true. We can praise Booker for being a strong opposition and for putting his body on the line, while at the same time criticizing him for being corrupt and for taking corrupt money. Both things can happen at the same time. Now, I'm going to sit here and enjoy my Jimmy Johns, so I hope all of you freaks have a great evening.